so furry, so fluffy. Oh, look at you.
Stop abusing the animal, you mother mucker! I'm just petting her! That's what you get for owning animals, you sick f***. Be free.
Oh, who's a pretty little kitty? You're so furry, so fluffy. Oh, look at you.
Stop abusing the animal, you mother mucker! I'm just petting her! That's what you get for owning animals, you sick f***. Be free, beautiful Siberian kitty cat.
Alright, we have Dento64GD to thank for this video. Everyone get mad at him in the comments. They queued me in on a PETA game that I've never heard of, which is really weird because... Okay, this one's insulting. The mysterious game is called Save Chicks, or Save the Chicks. It appears to have two different titles. I tried looking this game up, but I can't find any footage on it, nor can I even find a screenshot of it on Google Images. However, the funny part is Wikipedia literally has a link to a playable version of this game in the first sentence under the history of PETA games. Don't listen to your teachers when they tell you not to use Wikipedia. Anyway, I guess this game hasn't really been hidden from anyone, but I also might be the first person to upload any footage of it to YouTube. So this game can be played through the Wayback Machine, which is an archival website that lets you access old versions of websites. And lucky for us, the PETA gaming websites have been very well documented. On top of Save Chicks, I found two more games that were completely new to me. And same thing, I can't find any footage of them anywhere, and the worst part is, I can't get either of these games to work. As far as I can tell, these two games are lost to time. As well as explore those three PETA games, I'm going to fix some of my past mistakes. In my previous videos, I have incorrectly stated that certain games were lost to time. I actually said that a lot. So what I did was I watched all of my previous PETA videos and took note of every single game that I considered to be lost to time, and then I scoured the internet to see if that was actually the case or not. And spoiler alert, most of the games are still playable today. So to help rectify my lies, any of the new playable PETA video games will be linked in the description below, and I'll let you know if I have anything new to say on them now that I've actually played them for myself. But first, let's check out these undocumented games. Save Chicks was made to help promote PETA's Kentucky Fried Cruelty campaign. Essentially, PETA was trying to raise awareness of how KFC was mistreating chickens on their farms. A later game made for this campaign was Super Chick Sisters, of course. KentuckyFriedCruelty.com is still up today, and it features crude artwork and links to age-restricted videos. I need to start a PETA bingo card when I make these videos. Now when it comes to the game, the first thing that we need to remember is that this is a website made for kids we're looking at. Don't worry, I found the full render of this artwork that's always on the side. I'm sure the kiddos love this. And this.
Slaughterhouse chickens are left bleeding to death after their throats are slit, and they enter a scalding tank.
Scalding hot water for feather removal?
Still conscious, many of them flap about and thus miss both the immobilization bath and the automated and manual
human
neck slicers, and are completely conscious when they are scalded to death.
As always, no subtlety here. When playing, all you need to do is move the arrow keys left to right to catch the falling chicks before they hit the boiling water. The speed of the chicken that drops the mini chickens varies with each pass. If you miss a chicken, you lose a life, which you have 5 of in total. Sometimes the chicken will birth another chicken off the screen where you can't even catch it. At the very least, luckily you don't lose a life for that. But yeah, that's mostly it. It's insanely easy. I can play it all day without losing a life. It's a true test of endurance. I couldn't get the audio to work, but voila, another dumpster fire of a game. Along with PETA's kid-friendly gaming website, I checked out PETA's regular gaming website on the Wayback Machine. The earliest archive I could find was December 31st, 2014. This is where I found the other two games I have never heard of. The first one we'll talk about is called Holiday Snow Fight, which came out in December of 2008. This game apparently almost got them sued by the politician Sarah Palin. Like I said earlier, I did find a link to this game, but I cannot get it to run. I can click the instructions and the play button, but this start button just does not work, leaving us stuck on this screen listening to Christmas music. I at least found some articles that give us details. There's 4 levels in this game total. In the first stage, you're in a mall, which I assume is this mall in the background of the menu. Here we have to throw snowballs at Madonna Donna, fashion designer Donna Karen, and the Olsen twins. The second stage takes place in a graveyard where you're now trying to force the ghoulishly reanimated Colonel Sanders and actor Charlton Heston back in the grave by hitting them. I kinda at least want to see what that one looks like. If you can get these games to run, let me know. The third stage pits the user against the horse trainer Larry Jones. I don't know why this article decided to get vague with the descriptions here. And now I do have a screenshot of the final level. Here, a fur coat and bikini-cladded Sarah Palin attempts to shoot Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The player's objective again is to pelt Palin with snowballs. After winning the game, the last scene actually shows Rudolph pounding his hooves on Palin's head in a shocking display of violence. No, if you're familiar with PETA at all, this shocking display of violence is not shocking at all. But I found a screenshot of the end screen. You can see Palin's decapitated head in the bottom right. Like I said earlier, someone from Palin's legal team tried to take legal action against PETA for this game. Or so the rumors go. In reality, all that happened was an email war between the president of PETA, Ingrid Newkirk, and Palin's director of communications, William McAllister. I read through the entire email chain and it is so funny and so petty you need to hear it. They both end up acting like high school girls. It's great. So first of all, this all started when Ingrid made a blog post saying that someone claiming to be from Palin's office called her and demanded they take the game down. She claims that he just yelled at her and threatened to sue when she asked for his name. I can't find this blog post anywhere, but it seems like Ingrid had no proof of any of this taking place. Alright, so Bill reached out to Ingrid directly through email. He basically said, WTF bro, you're saying that we're trying to sue you? She replied saying, we based this on a phone call. Why don't you ask in your office and be specific as to on what grounds you can sue us? We know that we can use the game as its pure parody. I thought people in Alaska had a sense of humor. This to me feels like Ingrid is trying to provoke them to get them to actually sue her and cause more drama and more publicity. And at this point, Bill is just straight up confused, as he should be, and is asking for details. Ingrid replied with, do they train you to be rude? She is trying to be petty as fuck here. He's just asking for questions. He is clearly confused. She ain't buying it though. So Bill replies, okay, so the bottom line is you have attitude but no facts. Sounds about right. Ingrid's alleged plan is working here. He is getting petty as fuck as well. No, you have attitude, and it's a bad one. And so did your legal emissary, who must have gone to the same charm school. Is this written by a Disney Channel team? Like, what's going on here? Our still unnamed legal emissary, huh? Whether or not I'm charming in your eyes, at least I'm accountable. You will be when you die, don't you think? Did someone put Red Bull in your water cooler? Are you now saying that no one called from your office? That's my question. Or did that person who called you overplay his hand or what? Not that I really care anymore. Flips hair. What did Red Bull in the water cooler even mean here? I'm so confused. To answer your question in your subject line, yes, you are sorry. I wouldn't know if the person who allegedly called overplayed his hand. A man then, I'm still waiting for more details. No one here knows what you're talking about. Oh, you used to care? Which decade was that? These are grown people. These are grown people in positions of power arguing like teenagers here. This is so pathetic. Anyway, that's the end of that conversation. Let's just move on. Circus Slam is the third Lost PETA game that I found. Unfortunately, I have even less info on this game. Here's all that we know. If you couldn't tell, PETA's purpose of this game is to protest circuses and raise awareness. The description reads, an elephant never forgets. Play Circus Slam to unleash an adorable but angry guardian elephant spirit who wants to rain down some heavy revenge against the big top. Squish tents and cages to save as many elephants as you can. It was sold on the App Store for 99 cents. And it was developed by This Is Pop, which is a game development studio that has worked with PETA on some of their best games. So this may be a rare PETA W for all I know. Anyway, that's all I got for Circus Slam. No petty emails here. So I also found a hermit crab quiz.
You're going to jail for throwing cats out of windows, you sick freak! That wasn't me, you did that! Sit there and stew on what you've done towards all animal kind, you fuck.
Well, it was very nice of them to at least let me keep my recording equipment, so now let's cover the games that are in fact playable that I previously stated as lost to time. You can in fact still make Fred spew. You just drag Derick into his mouth and he pukes. Fun fact I didn't know before this was playable, there are 3 unique puking sound effects and they're all attached to the same foods. Very interesting, I know. The yogurt seems to be his least favorite because the puking lasts the longest. Bloody Burberry is a game that was made to protest Burberry, a clothing company that uses real fur. Or at least they used to use real fur. They in fact stopped using real fur in 2018. But honestly, I just realized this game might be another rare PW. I'd say I'm against wearing real fur. I just don't see the point of it. So in this game, you go around ruining fur coats with spray paint, protest Burberry's models, and free animals from the clutches of the former CEO. The dramatic music and the slow-moving guards just create a funny juxtaposition that I can't get over. My previous critique was how they were roasting the innocent models, but I don't know, have a sense of humor, old me, who cares? Create Your Own Sea Kitten is a fish dress-up game. You choose between 8 different fish. I didn't realize until playing this game, but the vibes are just weird here. For starters, just listen to the sound effects when you select a fish. Why is everything low-key off-putting? And in general, this just looks like something PETA would protest. There's no way they're a fan of dressing up wild animals, especially fish. The water pollution goes hard with this game. How Green Is My Diet is a calculator that tracks how many animals you would save based on your age and gender. For example, if I go vegan right now,
I'll save 20,160 animals from dying and 237,000 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions. That's the same amount of carbon dioxide produced by driving an SUV 247,939 miles.
This is an old calculator and it's very unclear how they get their data and whether or not it's accurate. There's a very similar calculator they made under the same name, but this one's more of a vibe. This one is for vegans and it shows you all of the good things you've contributed to. Turkey Lurkey Master of Disguise is first of all just my favorite name, but it's also a slide puzzle where you have to put together a picture of a turkey dressed up in a costume. The turkey's trying to avoid being killed for Thanksgiving dinner, and holy shit, this game made me want to off myself. So sometimes the pieces will just refuse to go into certain spots, and it will never go into those spots again. This can happen at any point during the puzzle. So what you have to do is reselect how many pieces you want in the puzzle if you want to continue. There are only 3 simple puzzles to complete. But thanks to these glitches, it took me 20 agonizing minutes. I was so angry doing these slide puzzles. It will just soft lock you at any moment and you just can't do anything about it. I'm still mad. Now here's a list of games that I could find a working link to but could not actually play. Elephants Never Forgets. I have found multiple links for this one, but I keep getting errors. I found a version of Seal Slalom where the title screen works, but once you hit play, you're stuck on this screen. Breast Not Animal Tests will load for a second before permanently turning into a black screen. It seems like the least likely PETA games to ever surface again are the mobile games. Butcher Goes Vegan, Seals Hero, Paintball Hero, and of course Circus Slam. Now I did bounce around to other parts of old PETA websites and I did find some weird stuff. I love this Yu-Gi-Oh! X PETA crossover right here. You can just never tell what PETA is going to like or hate. I could easily see them saying something negative like, Kaiba mistreats his blue-eyed white dragons. Yugi forces Kuribos to fight and that's not okay. But instead they take a show that has nothing really to do with animals and shoehorns a message in there. Yugi sets a good example for all of us by standing up to the bad guys and making the world a better place. So be like Yugi and do your part by speaking up for animals, and always report any acts of animal abuse that you hear about or see. Like, sure. It's chill, I don't hate it, it's just random. It's just, this company is so random. You can't predict them. I'm also in love with milksucks.com. It's an entire website that PETA made to hate on milk.
Wanted, known milk sucker, Chubby Charlie. Eat fat and you'll be fat. Be kind to animals and to your butt and gut by avoiding fatty dairy products.
I'm sure there's more interesting stuff to be discovered, and if you do, let me know in the comments. Now make sure you're subscribed because if I find enough stuff, I'll make another video because I am the PETA.
Pawn on your sins with the rest of these creeps.
What are you in for?
Well, in 2011 I ran an animal shelter where I killed 713 dogs out of the 760 dogs that were brought into my shelter. That's 93%. I also killed 1,198 out of the 1,211 cats brought in. That's 99%. I would go to work early before anyone else got there, and I would just kill the animals myself. I must have killed 1,000 of them. Sometimes dozens every, sorry, it's just so insane. It's so, I'm trying to not laugh while I'm saying, because I'm like, what the fuck? It's like the most insane thing ever. I must have killed 1,000 of them. Sometimes dozens every day. The animals got the gift of euthanasia, and to them it was the best gift they'd ever had.
So I was doing research for a video on Gaither's Pond, a computer-animated Christian series from the late 90s famous for its hilariously bad animation.
But no, I gotta run a retraction.
I was doing my thing, Googling around for other examples of 3D animation from the late 90s and early 2000s to compare Gaither's Pond to show how ugly it truly was, and that's when I saw this. Ain't that something? A computer-generated family, and they're so lifelike and not at all terrifying. I like how not scary the dad's big sausage-fingered beef-pattied hands are. And the mom's dead empty eyes really make me wanna, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I can tell you this much. I'm gonna do it. This looked bad, but it also looked funny, and it's 3D animation that I didn't know anything about, so I wanted to know more about it. I clicked on the link and was led to the Cartoon Research Facebook group. A fella by the name of Ben Vanesti had made a post containing this image that I had found in Google Images. But that wasn't all. He had 2 more images, and his post read as follows. While I was looking through a vintage issue of Animation magazine from the year 2000, I discovered this live-action animation hybrid sitcom nobody's heard of called The Rumfords. Since there are no videos of it outside of a promo, I figured I'd share its existence with you all in hopes clips or even episodes of it can somehow be found. And if you click on that link in the post, you're greeted with this.
And on Fridays, there's a new family moving into the sitcom neighborhood, and they're a little bit more animated. What? Meet the Rumfords. Cool. The first sitcom to blend live action and animated characters, starring the voice of George Wendt as the family dog.
I don't know whether to roll up a newspaper and smack you or give you a big wet kiss. Get the paper.
The Rumfords, the first cyber sitcom of the 21st century.
Jesus Christ, what a nightmare. This is one of the most amateurish, uncanny promos I've ever seen. There is just no way this was supposed to air on actual TV. Look at the way the dad eats corn on the cob. Look at this baby smack a bunch of pancakes out of existence. When the dog talks, he tilts his head in such a way so that you can't see his mouth, so they didn't have to sync the lines to it. Like, so much laziness was crammed into this 30-second promo. It's shocking. And speaking of laziness, the dog is voiced by George Wendt. He played Norm on Cheers, and hearing the effort he put into this line, if you told me he died before he recorded it, I would have believed you.
Get the paper.
Also, I didn't really dig too deep into this, but the music from the Rumfords promo sounds identical to the music from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
The Rumfords, the first cyber sitcom of the 21st century.
Maybe it's a public domain thing, but one way or the other, this is like a cobbled together mess of a promo, missing graphics, missing effort in a lot of areas. It is unbelievably bad. And unbelievable is a key word here, because when I first saw this promo and this post, I thought it was fake, okay? If you look up the Rumfords on the Lost Media Wiki, it's not there. And that told me that, okay, this is either a brand new discovery or someone's having a laugh making up a shitty show with a bunch of reused assets that they found free on the internet. So naturally, I just Googled the Rumfords real quick after watching this promo, trying to find out more about it, and I realized that this was, in fact, a real show at some point, and Ben Venesti had genuinely just made a brand new animation Lost Media discovery. So, on the count of 3, let's all thank Ben Venesti. Don't worry, not the only time we're doing this bit in the video. It cropped up way more than I thought. All right, count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Ben Venesti. Way to go, way to play along at home or on the bus or wherever you are in public. If you didn't play along, fuck you. But what was the Rumfords? What was it about? Did any of it ever come out? Well, all these questions and more will be answered in this video here today. And I went all out. This has been a video 2 weeks in the making, and I made sure to put in just about all the legwork I physically could, and all of my research that I've put together will be posted on the Lost Media Wiki the same day this video goes up. If that is in fact how the Lost Media Wiki works, I've never been able to add anything to it before, so I will try to have it all up on the same day. With that said though, let's talk about the Rumfords, and specifically what this show was going to be about. The Rumfords are an animated family living in a live-action neighborhood. The family was made up of such memorable characters as Barry Rumford, the goofy dad, Justin Rumford, the goofy-looking son, and Tootsie, the low-energy dog. And that's all the names I was able to find. They all came from the same promotional image where their names were listed, but it was only those 3, so no other names. Lost Media, that's what you get sometimes. The Rumfords move into a live-action neighborhood after their show gets canceled, which is kind of a cute idea. The Rumfords are literally a goofy cartoon family within the show itself, at least according to this one source right here. But they're out of the job and now have to face the real world, the real world, with real people instead of tunes. It's kind of a fun premise for a show, even though it is pretty gimmick heavy. If it wasn't like a animated family going into the live action world, is it just a weird family moving to town? Like, hopefully you'd have a little bit more than that. And luckily the Rumfords seemed to realize that, and they added a little extra pinch of drama, which was that the Rumford family was going to have an adopted live action daughter who is confused as to whether or not she is a toon or a human. Honestly, not that bad of an idea, but I'll have you note that this live action daughter is not featured in any of the promotional material I could find. I get they wanted to show off the awesome animation, but if the whole crux of your show relies on live action characters interacting with animated characters, you should probably show a live action character alongside them, at least in like a poster or something, especially if one of them is a part of the Rumford family. But I think we all know the real reason why they weren't marketing with a live action person alongside these animated characters. It's because it didn't look good. It looked terrible. The pilot episode of the Rumfords was likely about the Rumford family first moving into the neighborhood, though I'll admit this is just an educated guess based on the premise for the series and the IMDb credit for Craig March as a mover. As for other episodes, well, we just plain don't know for reasons that are going to be very apparent as this video carries on. But quick spoiler alert, those episodes were never finished, we never heard anything about them, and they are most likely in a trash can somewhere, or perhaps a large bog. I imagine the tone of the series was very lighthearted, silly, and schmaltzy. I don't think they did anything crazy like using the tunes as an allegory for racism or anything like that. PAX TV, the network that was going to air the show, was known for having pretty family-centric content to the point where a lot of people consider it to be the religious network on TV. They even had some VeggieTales specials back in the day. Also, it's important to note that PAX TV only started broadcasting in 1998, so it was relatively new to the scene and looking for a hit. Could the Rumfords be the hit they were hoping for? Would this be their Simpsons? You know, it honestly kind of depends on which season of The Simpsons you're talking about, but I'm gonna go ahead and say no, this did not become their Simpsons. So who made this thing? Well, The Rumfords was produced by Abrams Gentile Entertainment and Sexton Entertainment with a planned Q1 2001 release date according to the excerpt from Animation Magazine hosted by Ben Venesti. The same excerpt claimed it was to be directed by David Steinberg, a legend in the world of comedy. They also tout their use of motion capture and claim that The Rumfords is the first live-action animated hybrid sitcom ever to be shown on primetime television. Now, of course, I could make a joke right there about this show never airing on primetime television, but I can't. Ooh, foreshadowing. Now, this promo that we have originally came from Abrams Gentile Entertainment's website. AGE is a company that specializes in making licensed toys as well as their own original toy lines. And for a time in the late 90s and early 2000s, they also produced some TV content. Now, AGE is a very difficult company to find information on, mostly because their website currently looks like this in the year 2025. It is so old and archaic that the Rumfords is still listed on it to this day. But be careful when you click on it, because when you do, it automatically downloads that Rumford promo trailer that I've been playing throughout this video. Now, I know I already went over the story, but real quick, I just want to read you the brand overview from AGE's website because I find it very funny. The Rumfords are just like every other all-American family. Granted, they're a tad more animated than the average person next door, but that's because they are. What a stupid sentence. The first primetime situation comedy to seamlessly integrate computer-generated imagery, CGI, motion caption animation, and live action. The Rumfords is a weekly off-the-wall half-hour series that premiere on PAX/NBC-TV that blends the comic sensibilities of All in the Family and Cosby with the magic of today's cutting-edge animation technology. All the Rumfords want out of life is to be accepted just like everyone else, animated or otherwise. Is that too much for a cartoon to ask? You're telling me that show got canceled? You kidding me? That's good. Now, AGE's role was likely going to be more focused on merchandising than actually making the Rumfords as a TV show. I'm sure they helped in some capacity, but in my research, it seems like Sexton Entertainment were the ones really heading up the production. But speaking of merchandising, this is a good way to segue in real quick before we talk about Sexton Entertainment. The fact that there is a trademark for the Rumfords that was filed about a day before it was announced that PAX TV was buying it. More on that later. But merchandising was mentioned throughout that trademark. And on the YouTube video upload of the promo for the Rumfords, someone claims to have seen a Rumfords lunchbox on TikTok. Why they would lie about that, I don't know. Maybe they're mistaken, but it is very likely that there was some form of merchandising made for the Rumfords if AGE was going to bother to have it on their website at some point. Maybe they produced some prototypes or something and something got out, but I would absolutely love to believe that there is Rumford merchandising out there somewhere. I did look for some, wasn't able to find it, but if you are a lost media researcher like myself, keep an eye open. You never know. That could be a really cool find. Anyways, the other producing company was Sextant Entertainment, a Vancouver studio that shut down in 2002 because it went bankrupt. I didn't recognize a ton of the stuff they worked on, but they did co-produce the Mr. Hell Show, and a lot of really talented people worked on the Mr. Hell Show, including Jeff Swampy Marsh, who would go on to do Phineas and Ferb. There are also a bunch of other really cool people that worked on the Mr. Hell Show. I just thought I'd bring up real quick that there is a YouTube channel for it that was created in July 2025, and I'm pretty sure it was made by someone who worked on the show. I'm not sure who, but their little about section has what everyone went on to do after the show got canceled. Super interesting. Just thought I'd give it a shout out. I watched like an episode and a half of the Mr. Hell Show. It's fine. It's very obviously like a cheaply animated show that kind of got lost to time. But with that out of the way, Sextant Entertainment rolled out the Rumfords. At least that's what this playback article says from June 12th of 2000. The series had 13 episodes ordered from PAX TV on May 17th of 2000. The budget per episode was somewhere between $500,000 and $650,000. I found two different budget listings, so it's not perfectly clear. Most sources had the series releasing in Q1 or spring of 2001. That was the goal, and production began in Vancouver in sometime around June of 2000. With less than a year to work and the ambitious nature of the show, it's likely that production on the Rumfords was incredibly difficult. Also, it's possible the budget of $500,000 to $650,000 per episode held the show back considerably. And this was in large part, in my opinion, because this was a hybrid series. You have an animated TV show, even one that's CGI, you can get by with $500,000 to $650,000 an episode. It might not look amazing, but it's enough money to get something done. The problem is when you're making an animated TV show and a live action TV show at the same time. Your costs don't really go down when you do that just because, oh, we don't have to draw a background now because we can use this real location. If anything, that makes it more expensive because you have to make a real location or go to a real location, which means you have to get a crew. If you're working in live action, you have to get live action actors who need to eat actual food. It just gets more and more complicated, and I don't see $500,000 to $650,000 being enough money to really pull that off in an efficient and good-looking manner. Now, as late as October of 2000, we know that the Rumfords was still planning on releasing in spring 2001, or at the very least, just releasing in general because PAX TV was showing the show off at MIPCOM 2000. Now, MIPCOM was an area where I spent a lot of time researching. I wanted to find like videos of the floor, like if it's a convention or something, or the PAX TV showcase where they're showing off more footage of the Rumfords, but good God, I could not find a thing. It was a frustrating waste of time and empty endeavor, other than the fact that we know they were still at least talking about the show in October of 2000. So long story short, fuck MIPCOM. Okay, I think that's fair. And the Rumfords was canceled at some point after MIPCOM 2000 because it did not air in spring 2001. That came and went, and the show never aired on TV. Well, sort of. It sort of never aired on TV. It did air once. It aired the pilot episode one singular time, allegedly. Now, this is very important, okay? If we can say for certain that the Rumfords pilot did air on TV, that makes it maybe 1,000 times more likely that we could discover the Rumford pilot somewhere. If it never came out on TV, the odds of finding more information about this show are 1 in a goddamn billion, okay? I don't imagine anyone who worked on this show was saving any mementos like it was their favorite thing ever. Our best chance of preserving the Rumfords and getting to see what it would have been like is for someone to have saved the pilot episode that aired on actual TV. So that begs the question, did it actually air? Well, to find out, I went back to where this all started, the Facebook post from Ben Venesti. It wasn't intentional, though. I was doing research on the Rumfords when I came across this image, and to my surprise, it linked back to the same Facebook post. And that's when I discovered our second hero of this story, Yang